If you have Patagonia fleece, like, please marry me because it's fucking attractive.
Hello, and welcome back to Single Sounds. I'm Katie Mack, the host and creator of this new dating method. I'm very happy to be back in your ears this week, presenting to you a new fabulous single Londoner. This week's character is not short of opinions. She really does know what she wants, which is to date someone with a large height difference, who is affectionate, asks questions, and ideally owns a Patagonian fleece. She is a big fan of the Off Menu podcast and loves sharing and talking about food, as long as it's not about your meal deal choices. If this character sounds like your cup of tea, message the podcast at Single Sounds on Instagram. The link is in the show notes.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. Hi. Nice to have you. Lovely to be here.
Let's dive into your profile. Who, what, where. So who are you sexually attracted to?
I feel like everyone says men, unfortunately. And I'm also in that category of, unfortunately, it is men. Never say never, but it is 99% males.
Nice. And what are you looking for?
I would love to think I don't have a type, but I do. I'm 5'3", which is arguably quite small. I have exclusively dated guys that are over 6 foot. So the last two guys I've dated, one was 6'2" and the other was 6'6".
That's
and
crazy.
Imagine the difference between 5'3" and 6'6". So it's quite a lot. I want to be open-minded, and I will be open-minded, but I love the height difference. I like feeling really small compared to the guy I'm dating.
That's really interesting. I do sometimes want a height difference, but it's usually only a few inches, not a whole foot.
I think a lot of people I know, and they're like, why are you not more open-minded? You know, you're really small. You should accept guys that are also quite small.
Yeah, but if that's what you like, then that's what you like. How about age? Are you more open-minded when it comes to that?
My age preference is quite open. I think I'm more about life stage. So one guy I dated who was also the 6'6" person that I may have alluded to.
Oh, yeah?
He graduated a year after me, but he had a really, really good job, an amazing flat. He was in the position to buy, and he was 2 years younger than me. So I was like, well, we're in such a similar life position. Whereas I've also dated guys that are 32, but they want to get married and have kids. And obviously, I'm not looking for that. So I'm very open-minded about age. I'm more about life position, where you are, what you're wanting from life, where you want to be, where you want to go, in the next few years.
Yeah, I guess nowadays everyone has completely different timelines. A next few years for someone who's 30 could still be living their single life, or they could be married with kids.
Yeah, people think I want someone that's 30 because they're more mature than me. But if you're wanting to get married and have kids, and all your best friends are getting married and have kids, I don't want that right now. But if you're 22 and you're in a really good job and you're having a good time and you're living your London life, like I am, in a very similar position, you're with housemates and you've graduated. I'm 25, but I've been in the position where I've dated someone that's 2 years younger, who was arguably a lot more mature than I was. In my mind, I was well, we're in the same stage, even though he was 22 and I was 24, which didn't matter.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's so important to have someone on the same page. And finally, how about where?
So I'm in Balham, which is southwest London. Most of the people I've dated have also been southwest London, and it's mainly convenience. I'm one of those people that if I'm dating someone, I want to see you quite often. I don't want to see you every 2 weeks. You know, if you're in Brighton or Northampton, I want to kind of see you more often. I don't want to be organising Southwest Rails.
Yeah, fair enough. So let me know your 2 truths and a lie.
So I've never had a more serious injury than a sprained groin. I held David Beckham's Amex card, and I was repatriated at the start of the pandemic.
What does repatriated mean?
The government had to come in and pick me up because no commercial airline was ever going to collect me from the location that I was in.
First one I could actually relate to because I've never broken anything. David Beckham's Amex card. Usually I always think the celebrity ones are the lie, but that is very specific. And the last one, what was that word again?
Repatriated?
Repatriated. It's a big word.
I didn't know it before it
But yeah,
was a thing.
that could have happened. I'm going to go David Beckham's a lie.
No, that's true.
Oh, that's true.
It's true.
What happened?
So in the gap between graduating uni and then going on my gap year, I worked at Soho Farmhouse, which is very wankery.
Well, you said it, not me.
Yeah, I worked there because I wanted to earn like a lot of money in a short space of time. So I live in Oxfordshire, so I was like, yeah, this is like a good time. It was really a really fun experience, but really, really stressful and terrible. Hope none of my managers are listening to this. So I served the entire Beckham family, and obviously when he came to pay, I held his Amex in my hand, and I looked at it, I was like, wow, this card has known money. And yeah, it was fun. He was lovely, a really, really lovely man.
That's nice. I'm glad he was nice to you.
He was really nice.
Yeah.
He also said to my friend, like, thank our waitress. And I was the waitress, but I was also not in the vicinity when he said that. My friend said it to me. I was like, I might as well die and go to heaven now, because that was like probably the best thing that's ever going to happen to me. He was a delight. He was really nice.
That's cool.
So where were you when the government picked you up, or was that...
That was the lie. It was semi-lie, because I was in Australia when the government decided that we should all go home. So obviously, like, a lot of people were repatriated from like Peru or like loads of different countries that like literally just shut down. I was in Australia on my gap year. In the podcast can't see me, but I'm doing inverted commas because I went out for 3 weeks. Then the government was like, we're going to lockdown. I was like, right, I guess I should probably come home. So I wasn't repatriated, but I got the penultimate flight home from Australia. And it was really, it was really fucking stressful.
Yeah, I bet that was really stressy.
And it sounds so privileged, like, oh, boo-hoo, you had to come home from your holiday. But yeah, it was hard.
Of course, that is awful, because I'm guessing you dedicated those months of your gap year to travel and it was completely ruined.
Yeah, I flew out on like the 28th of February and then I was back on like the 20th of March.
Oh, no.
Which I think, I mean, links to the David Beckham story. That was like, I worked at that place to earn money to go on my gap year. So then when it all like came crashing down, I was like, are you kidding me? I literally spent like 6 months working and having an arguably quite terrible time. I don't want to shit on any business that I have mentioned, but it was quite shit. Repatriation is the lie, but it's a semi-lie.
So then you haven't had any bad injuries like me?
No, I've never broken a bone. I've never really done anything that serious. The most serious like injury I had was spraining my groin, like the muscle between your hip and your thigh. I guess I don't know how to say that more like PC, but so my sports club at uni used to do this 100-mile walk. It was like a charity event, which we didn't really earn any money for charity because all the money we earned went on like literally housing us and like giving us food. But I was in my first year of uni. I was like, I want to be involved. I'm gonna do this. And I walked, I think it was 35 miles in a day. It was fucking horrific. And I got to the point where I couldn't even lift my leg. So yeah, I sprained my groin and it was really embarrassing because my parents had to come and pick me up from like Exmouth and they put a deep heat patch on it. And now if anyone was like, what's your most serious injury? I'm like, my groin. That's the worst that's happened because everything else has been like, I've never broken a bone. I sprained a wrist, but I don't think that's that serious because I was probably about 12. I've really quite done well in the old injury front, but I also think it's because my parents were so protective. They were like, you are not going skiing. You're never going climbing. Like, you'll die. So I was like, okay, great, I'll walk. And that's how I got an injury. So very embarrassing. So really just walking, which is arguably not a serious injury. And I just walked and hurt myself. So, but it's fine now.
Keeping on the theme with groins, maybe, what is your worst dating story?
Okay, so worst dating story. So where I was at uni was known for being very near a training camp for members of the Royal Marines. Handy, but also problematic. So I dated a guy who was in the Royal Marines for quite a long time, but we stopped dating because he got chucked out of the Marines because he wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Is that mean?
Oh yeah, they can definitely fail their training. I think it's really hard.
It's so hard. And I knew from them that like you basically have, well, they told me they were the best of the best. And I was like, well, that's so good for you. Like, I don't really care. But yeah, so I dated this guy in the Marines for like 6 months, and then he left, and I was like obviously back on Hinge and Tinder and all the dating apps that we go on. And this guy messaged me, and I was chatting to him for quite a long time, and it took a while to understand that he was in the Marines. Like, he was training to be an officer in the Marines, aka what my ex did. And obviously I was like, oh no. But we chatted and we had a good time. And then I was on a night out with my friends, and they were like, oh, you should just go. Like, just go and meet him. It'll be fun. So my friends ordered me a taxi for my night out to go and meet this guy who I'd met on Tinder and probably spoken to for like 2 weeks, maybe. He was like, here's my location, like, you should go get a taxi. And this girl I was with, who wasn't my friend but was my friend's friend, was like, you should go, it'll be so fun, like, live a little, we're all young. And I was like, I don't really want to, but okay, I'll be young and fun, yay. And then he sent me his location. He literally lived in the middle of the countryside, and I was like, okay, well, this is fine, like, we'll go.
Oh, not sure.
So I get a taxi to where he lives. He sent me his location, and I looked at it. I was like, fuck, that's so far away. So I texted not only my mum, but all my best friends from home, saying, if I die,
this is where I'll be.
Don't worry about it. Like, it'll be absolutely fine. Got there, rocked up to this actual mansion, like a mansion. It was insane. It was like a full like country house. His apartment was unbelievable, and when you're like, right, this is where I say my goodbyes. Like, this is not a good time. And I got there. You do what you do when you go on a Tinder date, and it was like mediocre, like very mediocre. And then he turns to me, he's like, I'll just drive you home. I was like, okay, that's nice. Drives me home, and then we get home. I'm like, okay, bye, and that was it. I don't think I was that bad. Like, I think I would argue that he was that bad. So I had a little bit of a thing of like, it wasn't even a thing. It was just like coincidental. I just kept dating Marines. Yeah. And they were all awful. Like, they were all so bad. And the funny thing was that about 2 weeks before all of this happened, I said to my housemate, I would never date an army guy. 2 weeks later, here I am. Hi everyone.
It's funny because I know a few people that have also dated military men, and they all get coded as army man or army boy.
They're such army boys. They're like, no, honestly, everyone that I've dated in the Marines is saved to my phone as ex-Marine. And I scroll through, I'm like, oops, my bad.
Yeah.
My friend dated one fairly recently, and he had to go away for like 8 to 10 weeks at a time. Not something I could deal with.
That's so stressful. Like, I don't think I could deal with that personally.
Yeah, it could be deployed for years, so it's too much.
Let's talk about your meal of choice.
I'm actually so glad you picked this question. Are you familiar with the Off Menu podcast?
I know it, yeah. And I know this is a bit controversial, but I actually don't really enjoy that podcast, mainly because I actually just don't have any interest in food.
Yeah.
But I know the structure.
But no, it's my favourite podcast. But I got with a guy the other day that was the spitting image of James A. Custer.
Amazing.
I told him so many times. And I think he was genuinely like, leave me alone. And I was like, no, I fancy you so much, because I don't even think he's that... No, that's mean. I think he's very attractive, but I think his humour is attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone who is funny is instantly more attractive.
So glad you asked this question. My Hinge prompt is... meal of choice, like what I want to know about is your meal of choice.
Yeah, nice.
Because I'm obsessed with the podcast. Like, I love talking about food, I love knowing about other people's food. But can I tell you the biggest turn off I get from this prompt? People misinterpret it as meal deal.
Oh my god, I do love a meal deal.
So I'll have a chicken club and like a Whisper and a Diet Coke. I'm like, go away. Like, I couldn't give less of a shit about your dream meal deal, because that's such a boring answer. I'm there expecting like, oh, I went to this really nice Japanese restaurant, I ate this like really nice sushi, and then like I'd like a chicken salad. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's so funny.
No. But yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question, because it is my prompt.
Yeah.
And I have genuinely thought about my answer. If I was on Ed Gamble and James Acast's podcast, I know my answer.
Yeah.
Still not sparkling, obviously still tap water. Because if you like sparkling water, I think you're a bit of a psychopath. Yeah, it's just a bit gross. Like, it just tastes like carbon. And then you go into the whole poppadoms or bread.
Yeah.
I'd pick bread.
Who wouldn't pick bread? So for me, it's olive sourdough with like olive oil and balsamic vinegar. But I also would really fucking love some plain crisps with hummus. Because my favourite thing in the world is before I eat, to eat crisps and hummus. You know, if I had unlimited choices, I would also probably say I'd really love some tortilla chips and guacamole. But I don't think I could be that fussy. I don't think James would like me if I said that. So I'm going to go for like the olive sourdough and the like balsamic and olive oil. And then I just need some crisps. Like plain Aldi, I don't care. Aldi crisps with hummus, great times. My starter would be a seafood platter, which would be consisted of like calamari, prawns, squid, like any seafood like you could ever think of, with aioli. Main is where I really struggle. Like I struggle so much because I think about all the things I've eaten. I'm like, oh, that would all be so good.
Too many options.
But I genuinely think my dream main would be the best fucking margarita pizza you've ever eaten.
Oh, I'm so on board with this.
Pizza is like my favourite thing.
Pizza is my favourite thing in the world, but I don't want to be thought of as boring. If you have the best margarita pizza on the best sourdough with the best mozzarella, the best tomatoes, like, I don't think it can be
Couldn't agree more.
phenomenal. My side would be an entire sushi platter.
Oh,
As a side? Are we allowed that as a side?
If you've ever listened to Off Menu, they really manipulate the format. So my side can be whatever I want.
yeah.
And in that instance, it would be sushi. I am very, very lucky in that I've been to the restaurant Rocker. I think the meal that I had at that would be my dream meal if it wasn't for pizza. So I'm going to put that meal as my side. And then my dessert would be sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, yum.
And then my drink of choice would be a Tommy's margarita on the rocks, no salt.
Shot of choice?
I really like tequila. Anyone that drinks Sambuca is probably a serial killer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's just fucking disgusting.
Yes, I completely agree. I think Sambuca tastes like cough medicine.
You're going to ask about the non-negotiables, but I think the non-negotiable is, do you like Sambuca? And if you do, bye.
That is the next question.
Is it actually? How exciting.
Yes, you answered one. Is there more or is that just the main one?
There are more, actually, and I think it makes me sound like a really fussy person, which I don't want to be, because I am genuinely, guys, I'm genuinely very open-minded. You know the whole like love language?
Mm-hmm.
Do you endorse the love language?
Yeah. I believe in the 5 love languages. I think everyone has a few that they prioritise, definitely.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think what I've discovered in the last few years is the Midas touch.
Yeah, okay.
If a guy's not like affectionate, like I get it, not everyone's like PDA. I'm not PDA, but like affectionate, you know, just like holding your hand or like, I don't know, things like that. I think I'm very affectionate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've, again, dated people who aren't that. And I've really struggled because like I interpret you not being affectionate as you like not liking me. And my other thing is questions. Ask me fucking questions.
Oh, fair, yeah.
You know, have you ever dated a guy who's like, I obviously have, who will say, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
And that's it. And you ask them so many questions and they don't ask a single question back. And I'm like, okay, well, I might as well not exist. That's absolutely fine. I'm so intrigued by people's lives. Like, I love people and I love learning about what like their lives and their families and like what they believe in and like even political stuff. Like I asked that on a first date because I think it's so interesting. You have a guy that's like literally won't even ask you how your day was, and not even like deep questions, just like how are you.
Yeah, exactly, because you can build on that to get to the deeper stuff. But if they don't ask anything, you just feel like you are projecting on them.
Yeah, I've been on so many dates where I feel like I'm genuinely interviewing someone. Like, hello, how are you? What do you want for a career? Like, what's I don't know. And I'm just like, oh, I can't be asked. Like, I need someone. Again, it's a non-negotiable yeah, it's quite non-negotiable. Is it just interest in my life?
Yeah, you aren't asking for much there.
No, it's quite a bare minimum. Yeah. But I've been in positions, and if this boy ever listens to the podcast, he'll be like, right, I was a 6'6" guy that didn't ask questions. But also, I don't know, you learn something for everyone you date. And what I learned from him was that I like tall guys, and I want someone that asks me questions.
Yes.
Because I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah, fair.
What is your moan of the moment?
I have two.
Okay.
I have a serious and a silly.
Okay, let's go with the serious first.
My serious that everyone's so fucking busy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's my moan. I'm literally so busy. It's so annoying.
And I am personally too busy all the time. But like, for example, I met up with a really, really close friend from school the other day. We went to a concert in Manchester. I live in London. She lives in Manchester. I went to go see her. And obviously we're catching up before the concert. And I was like, oh, like, what have you been up to? And she's a doctor. So I was like, oh my God, you've clearly been like saving lives and doing all sick. And she was like, well, what have you been up to? I was like, a fucking good question. I actually couldn't tell you because I'm so busy, but I don't know what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's so true.
I find it so stressful because, you know, when you're on Hinge and you're like, oh, I'm one of those people that's like, oh, I match, we talk for like 2 minutes. I'm like, right, let's go on a date.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a pen pal.
I think that's a good tactic.
I don't want a pen pal. I want someone that's actually like genuinely interested. But the problem is you match and you're like, well, I'm free on Tuesday. Okay, I'm free on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'm free in like 3 weeks' time. And you're like, well, I'm not even interested anymore. Like, I find the fact that everyone is so busy all the time, it's like a part of human life. But it's so fucking annoying because I'm busy all the time. My friends are busy all the time. And I feel like I spend most of my time with people that don't get me wrong, I adore, but they aren't like my closest friends. And then, you know, if someone else says to you like, oh, when did you see X? Yeah. Like, when did you see so-and-so? I'm like, oh, I couldn't tell you because I've been busy doing work. I've been busy doing X, Y, Z.
Honestly, I can't even tell you how relatable this is. I've had to close my social calendar for October and November because I need to give myself some breathing space. Anyway, before I go on a rant, what was the silly one?
Oh, people walking slowly.
Oh, that's a classic.
Fucking hate slow walkers like so much. I hate them so much. I'm such an efficient person. Like, I want to get from A to Z as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Tourists are great. We love tourists. But if you're being slow, I can't be asked. Like, it's so London because everyone is just doing their own thing. And I love that everyone's doing their own thing. But equally, we're all so busy that we don't have time for anything.
What are you weirdly attracted to?
So I've recently rediscovered hiking. So pre-pandemic, I used to not go hiking a lot, but I used to do the whole like world challenge. I used to do like everything you do when you're in school and you go like on a hiking holiday. Did Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh God, I did that. Absolutely hated it.
I fucking loved hiking. If you have Patagonia, please marry me because it's fucking attractive. Any boy that owns a fleece or a hiking boot. I genuinely, again, my therapist, you could have asked my therapist the question.
Yeah.
But my therapist literally said to me, he's like, you realise you really love the outdoors? And I was like, I need to be in the outdoors to like function as a human. So for me, like a guy that wears a fleece, camping, like anything about that is...
Yeah.
For me, a big turn on because it shows, one, you like really value your mental health, but two, it shows you like the outdoors, and I really like the outdoors.
Let's hear what a friend has to say about you.
I actually have no idea who you've chosen.
I know, I can tell you've been completely freaking out.
If you live in southwest London, you're in for a treat, as my best friend is a Ballon babe. You've probably already seen her bopping in the Bedford or running around Tooting Common. When she's not in the pub, she enjoys exploring the globe through city breaks and adventurous holidays. What's not to love about this cultured girl? Although she won't shut up about her year in Sweden, #Uppsala 2K18. If you're lucky enough to date my friend, maybe the two of you could complete her Australasia travel plans after she abruptly came home because of the big C. Not only is my Dora the Explorer super fun, but the ideal girl to date. She's a culinary goddess and can whip up some incredible midweek scran. I hope you're hungry. She's also annoyingly clever and the perfect quiz team member. Her specialities include how to fuck it on a night out, startup culture, cats, houseplants, and advertising. She's beautiful inside and out and honestly has the kindest soul. I'll finish by saying she has the most incredible peach. Enjoy it.
I actually want to cry. I actually knew it would be her. Then I feel really fucking emotional.
Oh, it is really lovely.
And I can't believe she mentioned Sweden. I also can't believe I didn't mention Sweden because I lived there for a year. Oh, I'm going to message her right after this because that's so fucking adorable. And she also, like, the houseplants and cats. I don't think we've quite talked about that.
Oh no, we haven't. And I love cats too.
I have a cat called Jasper. He's the best thing in the world. He is like nearly 16, so he's quite decrepit. Like, he's really decrepit.
Oh, bless.
But I adore him so much, and all my friends like know about him.
Final section, this or that.
Okay, I'm quite excited for this or that because I like being decisive.
You know what? I'm not surprised.
Like being opinionated.
Would you rather be in the history books for doing something terrible or be forgotten after you die?
Okay, probably something terrible.
Really? You'd rather be remembered, even if it's terrible?
Well, I don't want to be a Boris Johnson, obviously, because he's chief cunt. Can I say that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's allowed.
Boris Johnson, I don't know if anyone that's listening knows this, but we're talking on the day that Boris Johnson got fired. So I don't want to be him, but I'd rather be memorable than be boring.
This is interesting, given your love of food.
Share food or don't share food?
Share.
Guessing that is because you like to order lots of things.
I'm such a share person. Like, I would love to get like hundreds and hundreds of dishes and we all get a try. I think it's because like when I go on, this makes me sound like such a wanker, but like when I go on like work lunches, we order loads of things and you get to try everything. And that's genuinely the best because who wants to order one dish and be resigned to one dish?
Would you rather be the smartest person in the room or the funniest?
Funniest. Easy.
Would you rather ask your ex or a total stranger for a favour?
Ex.
But
I think I've got really good relationships with all my exes, so
good.
They don't know that, but I think we do, so it'll be fine.
Would you rather travel the world for free for a year or have 50k to spend however you please?
Travel the world for a year. Easy. I mean, I think most of my story has been about attempted travelling and failing.
Okay, final question. Would you rather change the outcome of the last election or decide the outcome of the next election?
Outcome of the next election. We don't live in the past, but also I think so much changes in like not even a year. Like we've seen what's happened in a year, and I did politics at uni, so I have opinions about this. And people can disagree, but I think that like we've seen what's been seen, that you can't change the past, but you can change the future. So I would rather change what's going to happen next rather than be in the past. Like, obviously, we all want to reverse Brexit because I don't think your listeners are twats. Can I say that?
Yeah, completely. It's your profile. You can say whatever you like.
Yeah, that'll be on the podcast, but I'm not naive. I don't think that we can change what's going to happen, but we can at least be part of the solution.
And that concludes the podcast.
Thanks.
Do you have any final words?
I have so many final words.
So many.
I've had a really good time.
That's good.
It's been really, really fun.
Not too stressful.
I've been so stressed. Like, genuinely so stressed the entire time. And I also think I sound awful, but it'll be fine.
If you think you'd be a good match for this character from the specific list of requirements we explored on the episode, definitely write into the Instagram. Thanks for listening as always, and I'll see you next Tuesday.